Welcome to New Awakenings with Edgar Cayce's A.R.E, where together through some incredible conversations, we go on beautiful journeys of discovery that might shape the way you think about things and could even change your life.
We are your hosts, Will and Karen, and today our guest is Dr. J.P. Amonte. He is Doctor of Chiropractic Studies with degrees in psychology and biochemistry, and he's certified in massage and hypnotherapy. Now, he was inspired by Edgar Cayce so much that he healed himself and now uses that information to heal others. Doctor, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
We're excited to talk with you. We were talking before we started recording, and you had mentioned that you are very deeply entrenched in the holistic, natural healing modalities, inspired by Edgar Cayce.
Yeah.
So, when you say that you healed yourself,
Yes.
Tell us about that. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so ever since at a young age, I was diagnosed with type 2 asthma, and it was always difficult for me to just be outside and play with other kids. And even sometimes just going outside running, I'd have to stop, wheezing, coughing, and the like. And like a lot of people growing up, kind of getting sick around the time of the seasons and the year, and then having multiple injuries and so forth that would often hamper just being able to do sports and different activities and such. And so when I got to a certain point in my life, I really started to apply the information from Edgar Cayce in a holistic manner, combining in different types of treatments, both medical, alternative, natural, and eventually just all those things went away.
Wow.
They just went away. I think you healed them, right?
That's right. The body has the most incredible ability to adapt to things, and so forth. And whatever, treatments that one, selects and uses, you can honestly just listen to the body and follow a lot of that intuitive guidance and how it responds. And so what I honestly found is that, especially, growing up in the early years, that combining things with regards to diets, things with regards to medical procedures, as well as using a lot of the information, you just start to find the benefits and start to get healthier.
Wow.
So I'd like to back up just a little bit.
Sure.
A lot of people have heard that term, holistic healthcare. What exactly does that mean?
Well, holistic simply means the whole. And so Edgar Cayce was really the first person who addressed the whole physical body. And so when you look at the readings, he would always start off talking about the blood system. Right, and so the circulation, talking about not only are the blood cells healthy, but are they evenly distributed to all the different organs and glands? And then going into the nervous system and whether it was coordinated, functioning properly, and then literally going through all the different glands and organ systems, talking about proper digestion, as well as the organs that eliminate things, right? So the natural detoxification we have in our body. And so by addressing all the different parts of the physical and how they interact, was really addressing, the whole physical, but then we keep going on to address the person's mental attitudes, addressing their thought patterns, and then going on to addressing their spiritual purpose, whether they were living up to their ideal and really their soul's purpose. And so when you have the physical, mental, emotional, and the spiritual all being addressed, that's really the whole person.
So truly a mind, body, spirit conglomeration of all things.
Absolutely.
To make a whole holistic health. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing that I've always been curious about with regards to Edgar Cayce.
Sure.
When you come here to the A.R.E and you go into the gift shop or the bookstore, there's all this castor oil. What is the benefit? Do you drink it? How do you use it?
Yeah, a lot of people assume still that you're supposed to drink castor oil. You don't want to really drink it. It's really harsh on your
thank
system.
God.
Yeah, I know.
So there is some really good research now, and that in castor oil you have the fatty acid component called ricinoleic acid. In fact, it's more abundant in castor oil than anything else. In fact, if you were to eat the castor beans raw, they're poisonous and they'll actually kill you. But when you press the oil out of them and extract the proteins, because that's what causes the immune reaction, but the oil itself is extremely healing. So it's about 90% ricinoleic acid. When absorbed into the body, You can apply it topically. Most commonly was recommended to apply castor oil into a flannel, either cotton or wool, apply it to the body and heat it up. And once it's absorbed into the system, it's literally like food for your lymph, right? So your lymph is kind of like the sewage system. It's the immune juice that clears all the debris and all the things out of your body. And it really just gets the lymph moving, and it's a great way to naturally detox the body, as well as to improve the circulation and the way that it boosts the liver and the different organs of the body. It's got a lot of different applications. Most commonly was given across the abdomen, but I've used it for knee issues. You can use it along the back, shoulder, anywhere there's honestly inflammation or healing. You can combine castor oil with common baking soda and make like a salve or a paste that's great for like corns, calluses, molds, different skin things. You can use drops in your ear. I mean, it's got a lot of different applications to be used with it.
But you have to know how to use it, right? Me coming off the street, not knowing anything about castor oil, if I have a migraine, put it on my forehead to try to alleviate the migraine may not be the best use of it, or is it?
Well, it depends on what the cause of your migraine is, right?
Okay.
And so that's really the signature hallmark of Edgar Cayce readings, is he was able to go right to the underlying cause of things.
Right.
And the natural ability of doing a reading was essentially, like hacking into the person's own body and own subconscious mind. And it's amazing to think that all of us have the information of exactly what's going on with the body and exactly what needs to be corrected, or in a sense kind of realigned and coordinated. And he was able to go right to it and address the underlying cause, and then select things very specifically that would benefit that individual that was available around that person at that time. And so, yeah, with all the different causes of migraine headaches, if it was due to congestion or maybe decrease in lymphatic drainage, then sure, castor oil would certainly be recommended. If nothing else, just combining with other oils and just doing a good massage to help tone down those nerves and improve, the circulation, because the underlying pattern of migraines is the dilation and constriction of the blood vessels, right?
Okay. Go ahead.
I love how you talk about getting to the root of an issue, and I think that's something that's so lacking in kind of modern, non-holistic medicine today. I went to a doctor not too long ago. I had some issue with my hands getting swelling.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, instead of going to find out why it's causing, what's causing this, which is what I wanted to know. He's like, well, I can give you this prescription,
sure,
but that's going to cause other stuff, so I'm going to give you something for the side effects.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't want that. I just want to know what's going on. Do I need to worry about this? Can I fix it naturally? And I just find out what the root of the cause is.
Yeah. Now, piggybacking off of that, however, you mentioned that Edgar Cayce readings was able to find what's right for that particular person.
Yes.
In this day and age, unfortunately, Mr. Cayce is no longer with us. So how does someone like you who practices holistic health, how do you get to the root of the problem?
Well, honestly, through listening.
Okay.
Yeah, and working with the individual, and more or less trying to help the individual to heal themselves, right? And again, we have all the information we need within ourselves, and it's fascinating the degree to which he was able to tap into our own minds, which literally means that all of us have the inner intuitive ability to access information and learn to listen to the body. And much of modern healthcare is reactive, symptom-based, approach to healthcare. And so that's, everything is really based on algorithms and protocols. So if you have these symptoms, you're going to kind of run through these steps. And being reactive and symptom-based, you're always, kind of responding as an afterthought as opposed to prevention. And so a lot of things in the future now, and even the present, are looking more at preventing a lot of these conditions, and then being able to individualize and customize to that person. And you can find a lot of examples of this. But more importantly, how do you access that? Well, using things like meditation, using things like dreams, trying different therapies, and literally listening to the body to see what works.
Trial and error in a way then.
Yeah.
Dreams. How do you use dreams? That's fascinating. I'm like, ooh, how do you use dreams to help?
Well, first and foremost, you can incubate a dream, right? And so this is used widely throughout esoteric, approaches to things, where literally, if you're able to remember and write down your dreams, you can literally, as you're going to sleep, just ask a question, you can write it down, you can journal it, and you repeat it over and over and over and over and over again. And the trick is you have to be able to remember them. So whatever dream that you remember and wake up, And you can certainly record the dream and then be able to interpret to your own personal life.
Right.
And so when I discovered how to do this, it is extremely helpful on a variety of things.
That's a whole other rabbit hole, is how to remember your dreams. So I want to now take it back a little bit again, because at the beginning we talked about the fact that you suffered from asthma when you were young, and you helped heal yourself using the Edgar Cayce readings and things like that. And you've been really entrenched in the Edgar Cayce family for a while. But something you mentioned before we started recording that we really got to call out, because you came from someone who was suffering from asthma to now completing an Ironman. Tell us about that. It's a huge accomplishment, so I want to make sure that we celebrate that.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, no, I completed Ironman Maryland back in September. And so it's just a very long progression of being able to, build up the body to a certain point of just doing long distance endurance events. And so, back when I was in elementary school, I could barely just run around the fields.
Right.
And so a lot of the big significant changes really came through not only changing the diets, coordinating the nervous system, finding those allergens and things that were triggering it, and using the knowledge of modern medicine along with, coordinating the diet and then learning how to train the body. And then the prevention of a lot of different aches and pains, or when they come up, doing simple things to keep them at bay. And then completing an Ironman distance of, about 140 miles is just regular training. So
And a complete testament to what you're talking about, right? That transformation holistically into someone who could complete an Ironman, that is just astounding to me.
Didn't you mention a knee issue as well?
Yeah, so through high school and through college, I used to have really bad popliteal effusion, which is basically swelling in the back of my knee. And even at one point, I dislocated my knee. Doing a trampoline park with my son. So
those trampoline parks.
Oh yeah. Those kids. But yeah, no, we do it on the regular now, and obviously still doing these things, but just learning how to heal and approach the body. And so, and in fact, during the Ironman, it was funny because I had in my special needs bags, castor oil mixed with Arthur oil. So yeah, so as a testament to that, no blisters, no bruises, no chafing, no nothing. It just took me a day or so to recover afterwards.
Wow.
Because and before, I've got my mummy food and the steel cut oats and the anti-inflammatory diets and using juicing and smoothies and all these things. And so just using that holistic approach to things. But the real hallmark of Edgar Cayce's holistic approach is up here. The mind is the builder, and the consciousness is the key. And if we're really going to look at anything that's going to unlock a lot of potential in the future of healthcare and healing, it's going to be accessing the consciousness state and accessing these different brainwave patterns and learning how to modify not only how the brain functions, right, because it controls all the things in the body, both sensory and motor functioning, but also accessing our own inability to remember things, past, present, and even future. So you can really go down some rabbit holes in the way that Cayce described consciousness as being able to access this unified universal field of past, present, and even future. And of course, now we have research and looking at how the brain functions. So we actually have neurons that project backwards in time. We can actually measure our response before the stimulus is actually given. And so the number one recommendation was meditation and training the conscious mind. And as we know, you can train the body up until a physical point, but it's going to hit a limit. To be able to do a lot of long, especially really long endurance things, mind has to come over body, and at some point it has to become a spiritual thing.
Right.
Why are you doing this? What gives you motivation, and what's going to kind of get you through those really tough moments when the body's telling you, oh my God,
You've hit
stop.
that wall, right?
This is painful and so forth, but every time and time again we see the human potential is infinite, and you can break through those walls and barriers, and the only way to do that is by tapping into the mind and accessing the power of the consciousness.
Right. So then, I love everything you're talking about, but as a newbie to all this, someone who has never really dove into it at all.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly overwhelmed with not even knowing where to start. So someone like me who's interested in this kind of thing,
Right.
what's the best way forward? How do I dip my toe into the world of holistic healing?
Yeah, well, just start right now in the present moment and just practicing simple mindfulness. You know, as the mind often is distracted and wants to think about this or that, just practicing simple mindfulness and keeping your focus in the here and now, which many would call just, you know, like meditation. Best place to start. And then finding, again, things that really bring you joy, whether it's, you know, activities and exercises, whether it's your interactions and your relationships to other people. And the best place to really begin is right where you are now, but what is your ideal? You know, and so much of the readings would emphasize the person's ideal. You know, everybody wants to be healthy, but why do you want to be healthy? How are you going to make the world a better place? You know, what's really important to you? You know, is it the family, you know, finding your purpose with regards to helping other people, looking at your relationships, your physical health, your creativeness, you know, and really bringing these things forth. So know your ideal and know who you are. And start right now in the present moment and just stay, you know, concentrate on that. And these things will start to come. You know, once you're on your path, the next step will always come. So there's no need to really worry about the future or get hung up in the past, and just practicing that present moment awareness to who you are and what your ideal is. And those things are just going to naturally come. Because if you really want to be healthy and if you know why, all of a sudden someone's going to say, hey, you should try this, or you might be drawn to this, or you might have a dream, right, about, oh my God, I woke up in the middle of the night and I opened my fridge and it was packed full of orange juice, telling you, hey, maybe get some more vitamin C, do some things that alkalinize your body, because we now know a lot of things that Casey talked about are extremely applicable. And one of those is just keeping the body in an alkaline state. And 80% of the food should be alkaline forming, 20% should be acid forming. Keeping the blood system in an ideal pH, you're going to resist and prevent a lot of common diseases. And so the simplest place to begin, set your ideal and look at the things that you eat, what you do with your body, and what you think about. Those are the three most impactful things to our daily health.
Okay. I am taking notes.
Well, speaking of notes, you're talking about having a more alkaline diet. How do you have like a website or information where someone can find all of that? Because I wouldn't even know where to start on how to find out what is more acid and what is more alkaline.
Yeah, agricasey.org. And they have a lot of resources there in terms of diet. And if you go to the acid alkaline diet, it's going to pull up nice little pictures. But, you know, let's go ahead and spoil it. Guess what most of your alkaline forming foods are? Fruits and vegetables, right? You know, and so much of the Agri-Casey diet is staying as close to nature as possible. In fact, you recommended everyone should grow, you know, have a little garden, grow herbs, grow things, because locally grown foods, they're actually drawing minerals and the electromagnetic field vibrations from around you. So you actually become more in tune with the energy around you by eating more foods that are locally grown. And not only this, but when you look at the foods, it's how it reacts in the body. It's not the food itself, right? So one of the most alkalinizing things you can do, a little tip to prevent colds at the first sign, is take about 48 ounces of fresh squeezed orange juice and just squeeze 2 lemons in it. And a combination of oranges and lemons, when you drink that, right, it's full of citric acid, but once it's metabolized, processed, and the residual byproducts put back into your blood to be eliminated, it's those residual byproducts that create an alkaline reaction in the system.
See, that's so counterintuitive. I would never have thought to do it in that sense, in that way, because that is very acidic, as you were talking about. But
I just made my mouth water. Just that sounds good.
Yeah, and everything's on a range, right? So there are things that are very alkaline versus a little. There's things that are slightly acid forming versus very acid forming. So the simplest tips, right, would be avoiding very acidic things, or just 20% of the time. So simple way to think about it is 80% of the time, eat what you know you're supposed to eat. 20% of the time, eat the other stuff. You know, and mostly it's, and the research is very clear now that supports the Casey-based approach to diet, which is avoiding ultra-processed foods. A lot of the refined products, and obviously things such as alcohols and a lot of the again, like white breads, white flours, white starches, and all the different types of sugars, right? Between sucralose, acesulfame K, I mean, the list just goes on.
Sure.
So I encourage patients, if you're reading labels and you can't pronounce something, just bless it and put it back. And at least one meal a day should be mostly raw fruits and vegetables. You want to have raw as well as the combination of cooked things, because you're going to get more vitamins out of the raw things. You're going to get more minerals when you cook fruits and veggies.
You are a absolute wealth of information. If someone wanted to reach out to you to learn more about this type of holistic lifestyle, or to get more information, maybe work with you with these kinds of things, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
Well, right now they can contact the A.R.E Health Center. You can find me around social media, pretty easy to find, between Facebook, Holistic Natural Care, and so forth. But yeah, people can do consults through the A.R.E Health Center and call them, schedule if they have any questions and so forth. But it's interesting because all this information is certainly out there. As you know, KC readings have been around for almost 100 years now.
Yes.
And it's interesting that the things that were recommended 100 years ago, many of them still apply and kind of still ahead of our time.
Sure.
But yeah.
Especially ahead of our time, because right now it seems like we're stuck in the dark ages of just take a pill and make it all go away.
Absolutely.
Dr. Amonte, thank you so much for coming on the show. This
Absolutely.
has been unbelievably eye-opening. I know I'm going to start to try to eat.
Farmers markets. Let's go to the farmers markets.
Yeah,
right.
I feel like my lifestyle is flipped. I'm
Yeah.
20% good stuff, 80% bad stuff. Well, I need to find a way around it. But thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you for having me.
That does it for this episode of New Awakenings with Edgar Cayce's A.R.E. If you missed this or any of our other interviews, feel free to go to edgarcayce.org/resources. You'll find all of the episodes laid out there for you, very easy to access. We hope that you've enjoyed this as much as we have. Until next time, see you on the New Awakenings with Edgar Cayce's A.R.E.